Hey guys, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to be recording for this build because I think it might be one of my favorite things I've ever built in The Sims, but it's a micro home that's built in the style of a modern Tudor cottage. I made it as a tiny home residential lot with a tiny living pack we got last week, and it's only 32 tiles again, so it's considered a tier 1 micro home, which is the smallest type of tiny house in this game. If you don't know yet, there's 3 tiers of tiny homes if you want to make your house a tiny home residential lot, with 32 tiles or fewer being considered a micro home, 64 tiles or fewer being considered a tiny home, and 100 tiles max being a small home. And the smaller you build your house, the more benefits it has. So for example, for this micro home I built today, since it's under 32 tiles, some of its benefits are that you have smaller builds, skills increase at double the normal rate, all relationship gains are doubled, and plants grow twice as fast. So as I was building this house, I tried to furnish it in a way that would let the sim living here take advantage of those benefits. Like, I put in a row of gardening plots in the back of this house, and I tried to squeeze in as many hobby items as I could, which wasn't really that many since this house is just so small, but you'll see a little bit later that I put in a flower arranging table and a beekeeping box and an easel outside, and then I added a guitar in the bedroom upstairs. Oh, and before I forget, I just wanted to make a note. I want to apologize in advance for how jumpy parts of this video are. I had a pretty difficult time, especially when I was trying to furnish the inside of the house with the camera controls. I don't think I'm really good at handling the game camera normally, but I think I had a harder time than usual with this build because it's just so small and it's 2 stories and also on higher terrain than the rest of the lot. So the camera was just absolutely everywhere, but with smaller houses, I find it really difficult to make the game camera stay level if I want to get another angle on the room I'm working on. And in the end of the day, I finally figured out that the camera is less likely to jump around if it's inside of the room you're working on, as opposed to if the camera is very close to or on top of a wall, for example. But if the camera is comfortably inside of a room, I found that it was less likely to jump around. So hopefully the next time I do a tiny build, I can control the camera a little bit better. But I cut out most of the jumpier parts today because as I was editing the video portion of this, I could actually feel myself getting a little bit nauseous when the jumpier parts got sped up because the screen was just moving so fast. And to be fair, I get motion sickness pretty easily, but I ended up just cutting out those parts to be safe because I don't want anyone else watching this to feel as nauseous as I did. I also cut out a lot of the terrain manipulation that I did because this build is actually one of the first times I've used terrain manipulation on a bigger scale, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I found myself just going back and forth a lot with the terrain tools, and it was a little bit boring to watch as I was editing the video, so I just cut them out altogether. By the way, the outside of this house is pretty much done at this point, but I wanted to mention that I took inspiration for the exterior of this house from the Goose Creek Tower in Alaska, which, if you haven't heard of it, is a 185-foot tall stacked log cabin tower that is basically famous for how unique and funny looking it is, because the first floor is kind of just a regular looking log cabin, and then as the guy who was living there and who built all of it needed more space, he just kept adding rooms on top of the original cabin. So it's super tall, but literally every floor above the first floor is just tiny rooms that are stacked on top of each other. It's been nicknamed the Dr. Seuss house for a good reason, and if you look it up, which I highly recommend because it's just so cute and amazing, it's called the Goose Creek Tower again if you want to look it up. But if you do, the final version of my house doesn't really look anything like it. I just wanted to create the sort of stacked effect that the Goose Creek Tower has. And the tower also influenced the lot I chose for this build because I wanted something that looked barren in winter and kind of like it was in the middle of nowhere. The original house is built in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness, and in all of the pictures I looked at, it seemed like there was nothing but trees for miles in every direction of the house. Obviously, we don't have a residential lot like that in The Sims 4, so I chose this lot, which is the Bedlington Boathouse lot in Brindleton Bay, which is a lot of peas because there aren't really any neighborhoods around, even though it is literally right next to a road. But since this house was built in Brindleton Bay, which generally has more coastal farmhouse-styled architecture, I was a little bit hesitant making this house a Tudor-styled cottage because it doesn't really fit into its surroundings. If you have Get Together, you know that Tudor houses are most popular in Windenburg, but having this Tudor cottage here in Brindleton Bay didn't really bother me this time around because I bulldozed the really big farmhouse-style family house next door that comes with this world, so it's not in the background of any of my screenshots. But anyways, I just finished up the bedroom in this house, and the way this house is laid out, the bedroom is just a tiny 2x3 room on the second floor, and right outside the bedroom is a laundry area, and to get to both the bedroom and the laundry area, your sim has to go up the stairs from outside the main part of the house, which isn't ideal if you want to play here in the winter, but I just think it looks super cute from the outside that way. And the main part of the house downstairs has the kitchen, bathroom, dining area, and workspace, so the idea is that the sim living here spends most of their time downstairs anyways. You'll see me filter objects by the tiny living pack a couple of times throughout this build, and that's because I really wanted to use the new pack items, but I think in the end I only used about maybe half the items that came with the new pack. I really like all of the space-saving objects like the Murphy bed and the TV, radio, bookshelf combo items we got, but individually they're still very big items. Like, I couldn't fit the Murphy bed into the upstairs bedroom, which would have been really cool, but it's a 2x3 object and the entire bedroom I had was only a 2x3 space. I really wish we got a single Murphy bed along with the double bed because that would have been a real space saver, especially for tiny houses that are built only for a single sim. I'm probably going to talk about the items that came with the new pack a lot in this video because I love all of the new items and I think they're all super cute, but there are definitely some things I wish were a little bit different. One thing I wish we had more of is dark swatches for all the furniture items in this new pack. Like, I noticed most of the swatches in the new items are light wood swatches, and they're all really pretty, and I think they work well in like a Scandinavian interior. But like for this house, I really wanted to use a darker swatch for the kitchen counters, which aren't from the pack, but I had to switch them out for a lighter shade in the end because I realized that none of the tiny living furniture would go well with the darker counters I originally had. I just really wish we had more dark swatches that weren't black swatches, and we really only have like one black swatch per item in the new pack, which doesn't give you a ton of choices when choosing your own color palette to decorate with if you do choose a black swatch. But anyways, I am done ranting about that for now. All in all, like I said earlier, I still really like the new items in this pack. I used a bunch of them in this build, and I think I'll get a ton of use out of them in the future. I can definitely see myself using them along with the mid-century modern style furniture from Get Famous and all the stuff from the bowling pack down the road, so I can't complain too much. But this here is a little dining area for this house. I love the circular bar height table from the tiny living pack. It's so adorable, and I'm glad they made another tall dining table because that's not something we have a ton of in The Sims 4, and I think they're super cute, especially for smaller houses built for single sims or a young couple. And I also love the hanging trio of lights from the new pack that I put above the table. I just used the default white swatch on the lights, but all the other swatches are also super cute and they complement the furniture swatches on the other items in this pack very well. I'm so happy they come in 3 different lengths for the 3 wall heights. And I honestly wish that all the hanging lights came in short, medium, and tall lengths because it would open up the lighting options for building in tall heights so much. Originally, I wanted to have the TV, radio, bookshelf combo item where the TV currently is, but like I mentioned earlier, it just looked a little bit too bulky and it kind of looked awkward in that space, so I switched it out for a wall-mounted TV instead, and then I put a fireplace beneath it. I also put in a gaming console on top of the fireplace a little bit later, so your sim can sit at the table and watch TV while they're eating and play video games from the table as well. Although the TV area no longer has a bookshelf, there's actually still one in the bedroom, and it's the new item from Tiny Living that looks like a decorative set of books with planters as bookends. That item, you'll see it in the screenshots, and it's on top of the dresser in the bedroom, but that item is a fully functional bookshelf, which just completely blew my mind when I was first checking out the items in this pack. I love how cute and tiny it is, and I think it's such a space-saving feature that it doesn't need to take up a whole tile or 2 tiles like other bookshelves, and that it can just go right on top of something else. I was so excited to see that because I feel like that's really the type of space-saving item that I was looking forward to with this new pack. That bookshelf might be my favorite item from the pack. I also really love the new tiered bathroom shelf that's above the toilet, as well as the tiny hanging wall planters that I put above the kitchen counter that has all the clutter on it. Oh, and I almost forgot, I used the 3 plant swatches from the new painting in the bedroom upstairs, and I love how it's not just recolors of the same picture in all the different swatches. I think the plant ones that I used in this build and the cupcake swatches are probably my favorite ones for that painting, but I'll definitely be getting a ton of use out of them. Just now, I put in that stack of floor pillows from the toddler pack next to the fireplace. I actually just got the toddler stuff pack at the same time I got tiny living. I've seen the pillows in everyone else's builds, and for the longest time I honestly thought it was custom content, but I finally got the toddler pack just last week. And then one of the last things I did was I added some notes to the fridge. They're a debug item from Parenthood, and one of the best things about them is that they don't snap to the walls, so they're really easy to place on the fridge without having to delete like all the walls around the fridge or anything. Plus, there's like maybe around 10 different types of these notes in the Parenthood debug menu, and they're all different colors and shapes, so you can make your fridge look super homey by adding them. And then finally, I got my test sim to play test everything and use the weather machine and make it snow, partly because I wanted it to mimic the look that the Goose Creek Tower had in the pictures I looked at as I talked about earlier, and partly because I was just too lazy to do the landscaping and wasn't sure how to go about it on such elevated terrain. But anyways, we are coming up on the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this speed build today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my speed builds, please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos every week. Thanks again, and bye!